Hello and welcome back to the Essex Allotment Farm. My name is Alex. I'm the founder of the Essex Allotment Farm, which for its most part is a 4 seasons market garden that produces free from chemical and pesticide vegetables for farmers markets and a veg box service. I thought this week what I'd do, since I haven't done any YouTube for ages, is to bring you along and show you what my working week looks like, whether that's here on one of our consultancy sites, whether that's at the farm, which we're going to later in this video, and just catch you up with what's going on with the business, what we're doing at this time of year, what I envisage this season looking like for the farm and the various different sites that we consult on. So I'm not sure exactly what this vlog is going to look like. It's the first time I've done anything like this, but here we go. So it's Monday morning. I'm at the cafe site in the Tin Roof in Malden, which is where we consult and manage a vegetable garden on 1/4 of an acre, producing free from chemical and pesticide veg for the cafe. The reason I'm here on a Monday morning and not the farm is because we've just had a meeting with the head chef and the owner, our Monday morning catch up, and we've been talking about what the menu will look like in the next sort of 12 to 26 weeks. What I'm doing whilst I'm chatting to you, I should just say we're giving our garlic the first feed of the year. So this garlic was planted back in October, and we're hand feeding it with just some multi-purpose vegetable feed. So this garlic was planted in October, and we've got plenty of garlic. This was saved garlic bulb from last year's harvest, and we picked the best ones. We planted it up in this top bed here. It was planted in October. We used some bone meal to help root production when we planted it. Other than that, all it's had is a mulch of manure and compost mix from Equigrow in the last 2 weeks, and now we're giving it its first feed of the year. So I'm going to chuck you down here and crack on with it. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, Monday morning we had a meeting with the chefs. One of the things that came out of it in about 12 weeks time, when the weather sort of turns from spring to summer, is that we want to or the chef wants to do a Vietnamese, what am I saying? The chef wants to do a Vietnamese salad. So he wants to showcase a Vietnamese salad, of which kohlrabi plays the hero part in that. So that kind of came out of nowhere in true style when it comes to chefs and working with kitchens. So whilst we've sown a tray, which is for us 104 plants of kohlrabi, we need to up that production, and we need to sow some more. So we're going to be doing that a little bit later. But for now, this morning, that was the main highlight that came out of that. Obviously, we talked about salad leaf and a variety of salad leaf and bits like that. Other than that, what we're cracking on with this morning is feeding in here, and then I've got one of my ladies and team that work for me here in the polytunnel planting out some bok choy, pak choy, mustard leaf and spinach, which we'll go and have a look at in a minute. This might seem a little long-winded and not very productive way to feed the garlic, but realistically we haven't turned all our hose system back on yet, because the weather hasn't warranted it. It's been soaking wet here in Essex, and just for this initial feed, this will serve a purpose. Like I say, it's just one bed of garlic, so it's not going to take me too long, and I can talk to you guys whilst I do it. The garlic looks decent actually. So as I said, we're feeding it now because apart from a top layer of mulch, which has only been done in the last week, and some bone meal when planted, this has had nothing. The reason we picked now is we've had a really hot week for spring last week, and so there's lots of fresh green growth on. I'll show you a close-up in a minute, but the garlic this time of year starts to brown. Those old leaves start to brown, and it starts to kick into action for the new season, putting on lovely fresh green leaf growth in the middle. And I find that that's a good time of year to feed it, and like I said, we're just using a multi-purpose. I think this one's actually seaweed based, but it's a multi-purpose vegetable feed, and we're just giving them a little bit of a water with that mixed in, and we'll let them kick on as the weather starts to warm up over the next month or so. So there we go. This is what I mean about the garlic. The old leaf, if it'll focus, starting to look a little bit brown, and then in the middle, because we've had some nice weather, it's starting to put on some fresh green growth. That's a great time to feed your garlic, in my opinion. Like everything, it's just my opinion based on my limited experience. So that's the first job of the morning done. I've fed all that garlic. Pretty happy with that. Pretty basic job to start the morning off. But I did enjoy the meeting with the chefs. It's always good to catch up with them and the owners and talk about what the menu looks like for the sort of next. We tend to try and do it in sort of 12-week cycles. And like I said, on this particular site, we're going for the Tin Roof Cafe, and the plan has always been in the early seasons. It was year one last year, and we're into season 2 now, is to grow for a specials menu where we highlight and showcase veg for seasonal veg throughout the season on a sort of almost like a separate specials menu. And then some of our bulk veg then does supplement the orders that they have to get in, because on a quarter of acre of the cafe this size, we can't produce enough to solely supply the cafeteria. And so this is season 2 on this site. It's quite an exciting project. It's customer facing, so the gardens are open for people to walk around, in contrast to the farm, which we don't really open to the public unless it's specific open mornings. So our role here, or my role here, is I lead this team here. I recruited them, trained them, and manage them on a week-by-week basis on behalf of the cafe, as an independent consultant, and help them through the season. And I'll come and work with the team, or a member of the team, maybe once a week, and get stuck in doing little jobs like this and a bit of filming here. And yeah, just a general catch-up and making sure we're going in the right direction. And so this season will be pretty much the same here. I guess what's really exciting for this season, the main farm, which is just across the other side of Chelmsford in Roxwell, will continue. We will continue our weekly veg box service, which for this year we will do for 30 weeks of the year leading up to Christmas. And then the most exciting development in the business for this coming season is that we've teamed up with Kelly's Turkeys, which are a nationwide and highly decorated and renowned turkey farm that produce wild turkeys, or turkeys raised in forest and pasture, specifically for Christmas. They do have a all year round range as well. We're going to be working alongside them. I've been doing some social media work with them for about 9 months, and we are going to offer Christmas veg boxes to go alongside their turkeys. Now, they produce 220,000 Christmas turkeys that they sell Christmas week, as well as tons of other things. So we're not in season 1 of the collaboration going to be able to produce 220,000 veg boxes on a small scale. That doesn't fit with the ethos of the farm. However, they do, I guess what I should say first is their farm is about 8 miles from mine. So very, very local. They do on Christmas Eve and the day before Christmas Eve have 1,800 to 2,000 people from the local area come and collect their turkeys, and they put on a bit of a farmer's market and mulled wine and stuff like that, of which I was a part of this year from a social media aspect. They do that, and between 1,800 and 2,000 people come and collect their turkeys from the farm on those 2 days. So what we're going to make available from the other farm, not this site, is 500 veg boxes to pre-order and collect on Christmas Eve and the day before Christmas Eve, in conjunction with your turkey for their customers. We're going to do that as a trial in season 1 and see how we get on. So it's going to be really exciting to do that alongside the veg box service, the farmers markets that we do, our consultancy sites, which I show you this one. We do 2 others, which they have asked me not to film on. And some social media work. We do some farm-specific social media content creation and content management for some other local farms. So the business is growing, it's evolving, it's a continuous progress, and it looks different from season to season. But along with this site, going into season 2 with everything that we've learned in season 1 and the veg box Christmas project for this season at the original farm site in Roxwell. Those are the 2 most exciting developments for this coming season. So as always, I will try and bring you along for the ride. I have taken on lots of extra help this year. I should say, obviously, we've got the team here. We've taken on more help at the farm. I've taken some help from some people behind the scenes, and to help with, bookkeeping, accountancy, websites, stuff like that I've historically done myself in the past. Hopefully, I can get somebody to help me with this YouTube stuff, and I'll be able to show you more of the journey as the season progresses. But we shall see. Just depends how busy I get. Right, just before I go down to the greenhouse to crack on with the next job, I just thought I'd show you in one of our polytunnels. One of the members of the team is busy away planting in here, and it's mainly leaf. So we've got some sort of Mizuna sort of mustard type leaf. We've got some strawberry runners in here that we just plopped in here at the back end of the season. Not sure whether we're going to keep them in here or move them yet. We've got some onions, and then we're planting more leaves. So we've got pak choy, bak choy, spinach, lots of Asian greens. They're all very young. Because I mentioned we sort of shut down over the winter at the end of the first season because, for a cost thing, really. I don't own this site. We just consult here. So we have to work in conjunction with the owners and the management team. They decided cost of the amount of veg we can produce on this scale versus, money saving in the end of season 1 was the best to pretty much shut it down. But that's not the plan this season. Now we've taken all the learnings from season 1. We are planning to grow year round this year, utilising these polytunnels. I just wandered down to the greenhouse. There's some weird camera angles in there. One of the members of the team was busy planting. She asked not to be in camera, so I respected her wishes. Obviously, if you see her in the corner of the shot, that's fine. She doesn't really want to face and stuff on camera, so that's what she's requested. So that's why you got a few weird camera angles there. So my next personal job this morning is going to be sowing some seeds. Now, you've seen 1,000 YouTube videos, surely, of people sowing seeds, so I'm not going to show you the whole process, but I'll just talk about how we do it here, and we replicate this on the farm. So we sow the same way using the same equipment. So we use these 104 cell trays from a local plastic. They're a plastic producer, so they do molds for all sorts, but one of the things they do is lots of different plant pots and seed trays. So we've got the 104s, that's the way we go for. It's quite a nice, strong, sturdy plastic. We use them year on year, and obviously when they do crack or break beyond use, we get rid of them responsibly. But yes, we use this with a seed and cutting compost, and we sow either singles or multis, depending on what it is we're sowing. This one is some very young Swiss chard, rainbow chard, sown on the first week of February. And as I said, I'm going to sow 3 more trays of kohlrabi. We've sown 1 tray of purple so far. I think it's called Vienna. We're going to sow 1 more tray of that, and then 2 trays of the green kohlrabi. And as I said earlier in the video, that is because they're going to showcase that in a Vietnamese salad. We're using some of our other leaf as well, but they want it to be sort of kohlrabi heavy. I don't use kohlrabi tons myself personally, so I'm really interested to see what they do with it later in the season. Okay, that job is all done, so I will show you in detail, but we germinate on the trays underneath, so that's the kohlrabi that I've sown down there, the 4 trays. All labelled, updated, etc., etc. Once we see signs of germination, we bring them up to the top shelf and let them get some light. Obviously, there's not a lot to show you in here as far as sort of stuff that's ready to go out, because it's pretty early in the season, even for us. But we do have quite a lot going on all the way around. and I'll show you some close-ups of some of the bits that we've sown so far. Right, so that's me done on this site. A couple of hours here. Obviously got the feeding done, the 4 trays of seeds sown, caught up with the owners and the chefs, and obviously my member of the team. We've gone through the jobs for the days that she's in this week. I've talked through a couple of things that I want doing slightly differently. That's my role here on this site. It's just consultancy, it's just leading the team. I like to get stuck in when I can and time allows it, but that's me done here for today. However, we're going to the farm, so stick around if you want to come over to the farm site. It's just not as much going on. I'll be full disclosure. I shouldn't really say stuff like that on a YouTube because you're meant to try and get people to watch the end. But we're doing some ground prep, and there are some direct seeds sown in the ground, which we'll go and have a look at. So yeah, stick with me. Let's go. Okay, so we made it to the farm. I'm just in the tool shed. I'm prepping the yang, and I'm going to do some direct seeding. We're going to be direct sowing some rocket. A little bit early to be direct sowing anything, but we're going to give it a go, and I'll talk you through why. I did stop to get some lunch, working lunch. My favourite coffee shop. We also collect coffee husk and coffee grounds from there, so I grabbed those as well to add to our compost heaps. We do that with a few restaurants and cafes around sort of the farm area. That one's actually close to where I live. So yeah, let's crack on. I'm going to do a few jobs here today. Some medial stuff that I won't bother showing you. We've got some grassy areas to cut. We've got a bush that needs trimming back, but it's just hedgerow bush, so nothing exciting. But I will show you how we're going to direct seed using the yang, which is one of the best tools I've ever bought, to direct sow sort of 1,000-ish seeds per bed in a few minutes. So that should be pretty cool. I've left my lady working at the other site. She'll crack on with a list of jobs that I've given her. We've got another guy here with me today. He's going to help me do some of the grass cutting and bits like that. But like I said, he doesn't necessarily want to be on camera either. You know, he's a bit more open to it. So as far as this farm, this site and this farm's concerned, this is the main part of the farm. It's, where we do a lot of our growing. It's where we're going to be growing for those Christmas veg boxes that we were talking about, as well as our veg box service stuff. We've got this site, which is the main site, and then a couple of other areas that we use for the veg boxes and stuff. I'll show you in more detail, but we grow like market garden style here, long thin beds, paths in between, etc., etc. So there's lots of exciting things going on here this season, and I will try and keep you more up to date. Those of you who have watched my channel before are familiar with this site because this is where we do most of our growing. So anyway, let me get the bits on the yang changed, the gears to affect the spacing, and the hopper disc to deal with the seed size, and let's get sowing some veg. In true farm style, I had a little bit of a problem there with the yang, so I had to make some changes to it, some adjustments to it. But that's life. So now we've actually I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I have no idea how it will affect harvest and things like that, but we've now in this hopper got a mustard mix and a rocket mixed in there. Basically, I lost a load of rocket seed to the floor because there was a malfunction with the hopper. So now I've got a mix of two things I've never grown in a mix before, which is rocket leaf and some mustard leaf mix. Same size seed. So we're just going to crack on and give it a go and see how we get on. The way this machine works is if the hopper's not got a decent amount of seeds in, it doesn't really sow them particularly well. And I had no more rocket seed handy, but to get some rocket in, we've mixed it in with some other seeds. I'm just going to work it in up and down. Probably get 5 rows in here, I reckon. Sort out my string line, make sure it's nice and straight. And so Really great machine. This is sowing hundreds of seeds in a row, evenly spaced apart. It's separating the soil, dropping the seed, and then patting down the soil behind it. And it does all that in one pass. So yeah, it's a really, really, really clever and probably a little bit over-engineered piece of machinery. But I love it. It saves me loads of time. Just worked. These string lines are really slack. Hold on. Again. All right, it's another pass. Time for another pass. So in this farm, all my beds are uniform. If you're not used to the way we do things, do it sort of like in a market garden style. Uniform beds, 75 centimetres wide. Whoa, 75 centimetres wide. And we have made our paths a little bit smaller there. Actually only 25 centimetres wide, our paths. The beds and paths are 15 metres long. The reason we uniform everything is so we can work out costs per bed, profit per bed. All the equipment's the same size, the pieces of string cuts the same size, the fleece, netting, hoops, also cut to the same size. You standardise things and everything fits every bed on the farm, give or take the odd one or two. You do things slightly differently when it comes to planting stuff like potatoes and squash. But yeah, so that whole bed is done in a few minutes it's taken. Still quite a bit left in the hopper. So I'd say we've probably done about 1,000 seeds in that bed in a few minutes. Right, last thing to do on this quick job is water these in. So if you're not familiar with this site, my main sort of site of the market garden / farm, whatever you want to call it, we like to call it a farm, small scale agriculture, is that this field's about 1 acre. We've got 3 in total. This particular field is got pluses and minuses. So in Chelmsford here, we've got a little bit of a microclimate. So despite the sun not being out, it's actually showing 15 degrees today, which is why we're taking a risk in sowing direct some early crops. So this whole block that I'm in now, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, now 8 out of the 10 beds have been sown. Various different things, carrots, parsnips, salad mixes, lettuce mixes, mustard mixes, now rocket and mustard mix. We've got some broad beans in a bit further down, not in this block. So various different things. And the pluses and minuses are growing on this site is it's south bank is so south that way, over that way. So it gets really warm here. Like I said, this area of the country's got a little bit of a microclimate, Chelmsford in Essex. We're zone 9A, if that means anything to you. It doesn't to me. We don't really work in zones. It's an American thing. And so the soil temperature heats up quickly. We're slightly cambered, banked south, and we're on heavy clay soil. So we do retain quite a bit of moisture in the clay soil underneath, but the surface that we're sowing these seeds into dries out really, really, really quickly, with it being slight camber to the south. And then access to the field can sometimes be an issue because access is at the very lowest point over that way, and it holds a bit of water. So like I said, pluses and minuses. Minuses being it can dry out the surface very, very quickly, but flip side, the soil temperature is often a couple of degrees warmer to some of our neighbours. But yeah, and heavy clay soil, which, you know, will have its pluses and minuses. It maintains a decent nutrients level. It holds water down deep. The water stores underneath the surface are good, but it's quite hard to work with. It's obviously very claggy when it is soaking wet, etc., etc. So yeah, that's what we grow on. That's what we've just sowed into. Over the years, these have had various different layers of compost put on top of them and then raked flat. We wood chip the paths just to keep things nice and tidy. So yeah, sort of that standard market garden sort of vibe. And we tend to pretty much grow the whole of this 1 acre site or 1 acre field in this kind of space. and in this kind of way. So yeah, just watering these in because, like I said, the surface is really dry already. And just picking out any dry patches. These were watered late yesterday, so that's why they're still looking a bit damp on the surface. I'm just giving a little sprinkle into any dry patches. Obviously, when the season gets into things, we've got sprinkler systems, drip irrigation that we can get out and use, and different things. But for the moment, because we're just doing small parts, we're just hand water, especially when we're direct sowing in not ideal conditions. It's still a little bit early, even with those favourable soil temperatures, to be direct sowing certain things. So it just gives us an excuse to go around and have an actual look at what's going on. All right. Should do the trick. Okay, so that's that bed all sown and watered in. So it should be fine now. We will, obviously, this time of year, we're monitoring the temperatures and the overnight temperatures mainly to make sure that we have no casualties. If we get some germination on this stuff, then great, we'll protect with fleece or netting or whatever it needs to be. If we don't get any germination on it, we can resow. There's nothing to be lost apart from the price of a few seeds, which when you're buying wholesale like us is not a great deal. It's worth taking the risk. It's worth trying to get more stuff done early doors, so it gives us more time when things get busy, really busy in the next few weeks. So I'll try and keep you updated how it goes. For today's video, I think that's going to call it. I've got a few medial jobs to do, stuff like mowing, a few hedges to trim, that kind of thing. But yeah, join me tomorrow when I will be talking about what we're doing about honey this year. So we're really going into honey production on the farm. We're purchasing some hives and stuff like that. I'll tell you that in more detail tomorrow. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff that helps my channel grow, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.